guest is an entrepreneur at heart and a pastor for the CCF Family Ministry, which caters to the needs of young families with a mission of bringing them closer to God and to each other. He also sits as the president of Christian Education and Assistance Foundation at Faith Academy, Manila, the vice president and a master mentor of the World Needs a Father Philippines, and the trustee at OMF Literature. I'm very pleased to welcome you here on CyberChat, Mr. Emmanuel Manansala.
Hey, good day. Good day to all the people who are listening to us today. And it's an awesome opportunity to serve many Filipino families and other families who are listening to us right now.
Manny, bago tayo magkwentuhan, can you tell us about yourself and how your work on digital parenting started?
So actually, my work is I'm a volunteer pastor for CCF, and the ministry that I'm involved with and where we serve is in the family ministry. I serve there with my wife, but my main business actually is a school.
Can you tell us a bit more about your partnership with your wife in promoting good parenting in the digital age?
Actually, the partnership is more of a lifestyle for us. We just have a passion of really helping parents in navigating, the journey of parenthood.
Follow-up question. Have you had challenges with your children with regard to their digital life?
Yes. In fact, I share the same challenges that many Filipino families, especially now, that they're facing right now because they're stuck at home. There's nothing much to do. And for some of the schools, they have not opened yet. And even in our school, in the public schools, they are trying to, encourage the parents to use to do online learning. So the challenge here is, how do you now wean your children from being too much dependent on the gadgets? And there was a study that is readily available online in you can Google it in We Are Social, the digital use of a typical of all the people in the world, and they also identified the countries that are dependent on gadgets and internet use. And you'll be surprised that Filipinos are number one. Actually, it's not surprising anymore. That we are number one in internet use around the globe. So I think I think we spend more than 10 hours on the internet, and more than, I think, close to 5 hours on social media alone. Now, if you look at that, if our kids are spending 5 hours every day on their gadgets, on social media, that means 5 hours that is taken away from spending time with the family. That is also 5 hours that is taken away from doing their homework and studying. And now the challenge for the government right now in our country, and in DepEd particularly, is how do you now make that internet use productive at home when our kids are so addicted to their gadgets and doing something that is not beneficial for them. So those are the challenges that we are facing, and the parents are also working. And so while some are working from home, how do you now monitor your kids' gadget use?
Thank you very much, Manny, for sharing with us those stories about your family and about your observations among Filipino families nowadays. We will be right back to discuss parenting in the digital age. Earlier, we heard our first guest talk about social media. She also provided tips on how parents should guide our children to be resilient in the digital world. Now, we all know that other addictions like drug addiction are illegal and frowned upon. However, this type of addiction is one that is socially acceptable. Manny, can you please share with us specific stories of children who have encountered problems because of their digital or social media addiction, if you know any of them?
Number one problem that we are experiencing right now is depression. There was, I don't know if our doctor, your guest earlier mentioned this, but the Philippines is actually number one in Southeast Asia in depression. We have the highest depression rate in Southeast Asia. And there was a study done, and I will be posting the study that was done. And they have observed that the more people spend, the more time people spend on social media, the less happier they become, and the more depressed they become. And so there is a correlation between social media use and depression. Now, the reason for which is this, as I have observed with our ministry, with the parents and with the kids. I was also involved in a next gen ministry in our church. And you know, when kids are on social media, there is this tendency for them to compare what they have with what other people have. You know, what they are not enjoying and what their classmates are enjoying. And so once they compare themselves with other people, they become more depressed because they're now looking at what they are lacking.
Samantala, sa mga mahihilig mag-gadget dyan, lalo po kayong mga magulang na hinahayaang mag-gadget ang inyong mga malilit na anak, makinig po tayo sa balitang ito. Dahil daw sa sobrang pagkababad sa paggamit ng gadget, isang batang babae ang nagka-seizure at animoy na stroke. Nakatutok si JP Soriano.
Oops, no, 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 I told you no.
Hindi na makahirit sa paggamit ng tablet ang 6 na taong gulang na bunso ni Ikon. Natroma na raw kasi si Ikon matapos daw biglang manghina, bumagsak sa lapag at makaranas ng sintomas ng stroke ang anak. Ang dahilan daw matapos ang check-up dahil sa sobra-sobrang paggamit ng gadget.
Naku po, siya, lalo na po ng bakasyon, siguro po gigising siya ng around 7 to 8 a.m. No breakfast, iPad first. Yun po. Tapos po, mag-stop lang siya para kumain, maligo, and then iPad ulit. Until 2 a.m.
Pinagsisisihan daw ni Ikon kung bakit niya pinayagang wantusawa na gumamit ng gadget ng anak. Nitong 1 linggo, bigla na lang daw nagsisigaw ang kanyang anak matapos daw hindi maigalaw ang braso at hindi makatayo.
Mami, yung arm ko para pa rin jelly, oh. Ganun siya ng ganun. Sabi ko, nakita ko yung lips niya, ganun. Tapos po, kung magsalta siya pa, Mami, look mo yung arm ko parang jelly. Sabi ko, la, hindi naman po siya bulol. Kasi po, maayos naman po siya magsalita. Eh di ako po kinabahan na.
Naisugod daw sa ospital ang anak. Dumaan daw sa iba't ibang uri ng tests at wala namang nakitang pilay o anumang injury. Tinanong daw ng pedia-neurologist kung madalas bang gumamit ng gadget ang anak.
Sinabi po sa amin na focal seizure. Hindi ko po talaga inisip na magiging cause ng sakit ang paggamit nila ng gadget.
Kanina, we saw a video of a 6-year-old girl who had a seizure because of overexposure to gadgets. Grabe pala talaga ang posibleng epekto nito sa kabataan. Manny, what price is the family paying because of this addiction? What are the effects?
You know, attorney, that was a very, very good question. Talking about the price that we pay because of our digital addiction. You know, the price that we pay is something that cannot be taken back. I believe that the price that we pay is time. I mentioned a while ago, it's all about how you manage your time and how you spend your time with. And time is something that you cannot go back and retrieve. Once you spend 5 hours on gadgets use, that is 5 hours of time that you have used either productively or unproductively. And if you, the tendency, as I'm saying, if you are spending it on social media, most likely you are not spending it productively. especially with your kids. And that is the time that they cannot bring back. And if they are focusing, you can only focus on one thing at a time. If you really want to spend time with a person, if you really care for that person, your full attention must be on that person. As we have mentioned, the amount that you pay, the thing that you pay because of digital addiction and reliance on gadgets and not spending time with your family is time not spent with them. And let me just read to you some of the things that we gathered in research of the effects of this. Only 4% of teenage girls feel that they can go to their fathers to talk about a serious problem. So out of 100, only 4% of teenage girls ang lumalapit sa kanilang tatay para kung meron silang problema, feeling nila makakalapit sila sa tatay nila. 4% lang po. Speaking of the time that you spend with your family, if we as parents are more concerned about social media, and if our kids are more concerned about their gadget use than spending time with us, then this is what will happen. And in fact, it was written in the research that only 4% of teenage girls feel that they can go to their fathers to talk about a serious problem. So meaning to say, yung mga 4% lang po sa 100 Pilipinong teenage girls, 4 lang po dyan ang nakalalapit sa kanilang tatay para pag-uusapan ang problema nila sa buhay. And so if these teenage girls cannot go to their fathers to talk about their problem, who do you think they go to? Another research says that when teens under stress ask where they turn to for help in crisis, pag merong crisis ang inyong anak na teenager, alam niyo po, 48 ang father sa list. Pang-48 kayo bago kayo lapitan ng anak ninyo, meron na silang nilapitan na 47 other people before you know that they are experiencing a problem. And so that adds to the stress, that emotional stress that our kids are feeling right now, the Filipino kids are feeling right now. Hindi sila makalapit sa kanilang magulang dahil yung magulang nila busy sa trabaho or busy sa gadget or busy sa anumang hobby. And this puts strains in the family. Add to that our gadget use, add to that our social media use, lalong hindi nakakalapit ang ating mga anak sa atin. At ito po ang problema. Kung ang ating anak ay may problema at hindi sila makalapit sa atin, kanino sila lalapit? Kanino sila hihingin advice? There's a tendency that they will be asking their advice from their own friends. At ano namang klase ang ibibigay na advice ng friends nila? Kung hindi mabuti yung kanilang friends at kung meron ding hinanakit yung kanilang friends, lalayas na lang yan o kaya magda-drugs na lang yan or they will do something that is not that is inappropriate because the parents are not involved in the family. And so these are just the problems that we see right now that is contributing to the brokenness in every Filipino homes.
Ay, Pitang! Ay, kumain ka na! Mamaya na! Ay! Susi na! Kawawa ka naman.
Okay na.
Ay, ang ganda pa naman computer na. Napakarami mo namang barya. Baka bukas ka pa umuwi niyan. Umiihi ka pa ba? Gusto nakakaawa na may anak na. Nakakabisit ka. Ano ba gusto mo?
Mama.
We saw in the video how yung isang nanay ay sinusubuan na lang ang anak niya just so the child can eat. Kasi hindi umaalis sa harap ng screen. Ito na lang ba ang magagawa ng mga magulang na hindi na mapigilan ang digital addiction ng mga anak?
Of course, may magagawa pa tayo bilang mga magulang. And we need to really put back the Filipino values that we have. And what is that Filipino value? Number one is respect. When we are talking to another person, especially our kids, our kids, they need to learn to respect us by looking at us eye to eye when we are talking to them. In the same way, if you're a parent, you also need to learn how to put down your gadgets and look at your kids eye to eye, because respect is mutual. And by doing that, you increase your bonding chemical, and the oxytocin and the endorphin is released, and the serotonin is released. The serotonin is released, and now even in your internal level, on a physical level, your brain and your body is already working with your desire to bond with your kids when you look at them eye to eye, and so you are able to make that connection. Do that often. So that's one practical advice that I can give the parents. Next practical advice. When you are talking on nandun po kayo sa pagkainan, magkaroon po kayo ng rule na pag kayo ay kumakain ng agahan, tanghalian at hapunan, especially now, na narito tayo lahat sa bahay natin, walang gadget sa table. Bawal ang gadget. So mag-assign lang po kayo ng lugar sa inyong tahanan na kung saan yung gadget nyo ay doon lang makikita. Naalala nyo po ba nung panahon na meron pa po tayong telepono na nakatali, yung may cord pa? Saan po nakalagay yung telepono? Sa isang lugar lang ng tahanan natin. And so if you want to talk to somebody, doon ka lang pupunta. And if you're talking to somebody, hindi ka abalahin ng mga kasama mo sa pamilya dahil alam nila na busy ka. But right now, with the cell phone, we can bring it anywhere. Kahit nasa CR tayo, nandun yung cellphone natin, parang wala na tayong space. So my suggestion is to build a digital space at your home na kung gusto mo magtrabaho, doon ka. Kung gusto mo mag-social media, doon ka. Pero apart from that space, all other space at home is for you to interact with your family eye to eye and person to person. Okay po ba yun? So that's one advice. Another advice I can give. Do not bring your cell phone sa inyong kwarto. Even for your kids, even if they're teenagers. Never allow them to have gadgets before they're sleeping. Magkaroon kayo ng lagayan ng gadget. Na lahat kayo, i-deposit nyo yung gadget doon at wala nang gagamit yan. Say, kung natutulog po kayo ng 9 o'clock, I suggest you put your gadgets down at 8 o'clock. So wala nang gagamit between 8 to 9 hanggang sa matulog na kayo, nakatago na yung gadget doon at walang kikilos. Bakit po? May iwasan nyo yung pornography. May iwasan nyo yung itong inaharap natin ngayon sa international child abuse, right? Because at least mamomonitor ninyo yung pagkilos ng anak ninyo. Another advice, especially now when the kids are, the DepEd is asking the kids to do online study, make sure that the parents are there to watch over, at least from time to time, para hindi sila mag-multitask. Hindi pwede kasi na mag-multitask ang isang bata, nag-aaral at nag-social media. Hindi po pwede yun. Kailangan nakafocus sila. Ngayon is very, very challenging time for us. We need to limit their gadget use to productive activities, especially studying.
Thank you very much, Manny, for joining us today. We hope that CCF Family Ministry and Intentional Living can continue to be a program partner of the CyberGuardians PH. Your final message, please, for our viewers.
There is hope. I believe that the gadgets can be used for good, but it can also be used for evil. And the Bible says in John 10:10, the enemy comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus came so that we may have life and have it abundantly. Ang payo ko po sa lahat po na nakikinig sa atin is, parents, never allow the enemy, a demonyo, to use gadgets or whatever it is to destroy, kill, and destroy your family. But let the Lord just guide us and ask the Lord for guidance on how we can bring our family closer together and how we can bring ourselves closer together to God and to each other.
We will be right back.